Michelle Lee for some breaking news as we now take you to the University of Washington. We're getting a live feed right now as hospital officials guide us to what is presumably the loading dock of some kind where the COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer's vaccine, is now arriving to the University of Washington. This, of course, part of that major shipment that has gone out in the last 24 hours, and it is now arriving here in the Northwest, where it will be distributed over the coming days to at-risk people in certain medical fields, healthcare professionals, and first responders among them. Michelle Lee, you're with us here live as we kind of watch this history all unfold here. I was noting some of the numbers this morning on King 5 Mornings, and as we were having our broadcast, the first American was vaccinated this morning. It was quite the moment, right?
Yeah, this is certainly signaling the beginning of the end for a lot of folks. You know, this is, like you said, Jake, an historic day. You know, when we're looking at the numbers here, Washington State is expected to get about 62,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine this week. The health department says as many as 222,000 doses could be delivered by the end of this month as well. On top of the Pfizer vaccine, we also know that the FDA is expected to approve Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine this week as well. And then you're looking at potentially 183,000 doses of that vaccine by the end of the month. So those are just some of the numbers that are coming in this morning. Yeah, and we just got in the elevator there, so we lost our signal. I think we're getting it back. Yeah, this is Suzanne Gregg, actually. She's a spokesperson, deals with the media all the time. So watching this unfold again in real time as we await our first look at the vaccine's arrival. We'll keep watching here. But some of the latest numbers here in Washington State over the last 9 or 10 months, since all of you have gone through this real hell, honestly, it has now reached 202,000 cases of coronavirus in Washington State, 2,879 deaths as of this morning. And this, Michelle, as you mentioned, the beginning of the end. It's one of those chills up your spine kind of moments to know that this is all about to get going. Yeah, Jake, when we were watching, you know, the first person get the vaccine this morning, we were just seeing a lot of talk on social media about people getting chills, like people getting very excited to know that the pandemic could come to an end. Granted, we do know that it's going to take a while to get back to normal, right? The governor has said that, and that is what all the reports are saying. It's not just going to happen overnight. We know that there are a certain amount of people who will be getting the vaccines first. There's already a shortage, and then on top of that, you're looking at frontline workers and those people who are living in residential care facilities. So it will be a while before we start seeing this administered to the general population. Yeah, when we talked with Dr. Larry Corey this morning from Fred Hutch this morning live on King 5 Mornings, it was the same kind of thought. But when he told us that potentially it would be springtime, March, maybe April, before we're all getting vaccinated, at least our first dose, that was pretty encouraging, I have to say. It was very encouraging, honestly, to hear that was coming. I'm curious where they are taking us, Michelle. I know. We're just seeing video. Again, this is a live look from the University of Washington, and this is what we call a pool camera. So we're all there following along, and we're just going down some sort of corridor trying to get a look at these Pfizer vaccinations that are coming in. But I do think, Jake, it's really interesting to point out how the vaccines are making their way to these 600 cities across the United States today. Yeah, the logistics are really quite mind-blowing. It is a vaccine that must be transported from coast to coast, all 50 states, in negative 94 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. This is that machine, the cooler that we have been seeing in recent days. As we continue to get a look here, if you're joining us now live, we're in the basement at one medical facility at UW as the first shipment of Pfizer's COVID vaccine arrives. Picking up right where I left off there, it's negative 94 degrees in these chambers here, negative 80 degrees Celsius. And it's a sort of pizza box that these come in. It is a shipment of some 970 vials per pizza box per shipment that is then sent out for a first dose. And it is a second and crucial dose that is required for this vaccine that gives you essentially full immunity, at least 95% effective. So again, the logistics just really mind-blowing. Yeah, and we just saw the person who was operating the camera, the photojournalist there, zoom in on FedEx. So we know that FedEx was taking over one region of the country. UPS was dealing with another one as well. But when we're looking at those numbers again, just while we're waiting for this to
unfold, Washington State again is expected to get about 62,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine this week. But let's go ahead and try to listen in.
They're multi-dose vials, so once you dilute it, you can get 5 doses out of there. And so there's 195 vials. Ideally, I would have made a box that held 200, but it holds 195, and that's why it's 3,900. We have 4 of those trays. And then when do we put the dry ice in? So we're going to take one box out that's going to go here. Christine's going to go ahead and load that in our ultra cold freezer. Several of us will reload with dry ice because they recommend reloading it when you receive it because it's been out of their ultra cold for a while. It's good for 5 days, but I don't know when they packed it. So we will reload it, and then we're going to go deliver to our other 3 hospital sites: Northwest, Harborview, and Valley.
And how's it being distributed as far as doses throughout each site?
So there's a whole team that's worked on the appropriate distribution of the product for those, the recommendation from the CDC, ACIP, and the state, and our organization is kind of our high-risk healthcare workers. And then we're also with our community partners, saving a certain percentage because not everybody obviously received that, like the fire department, EMS workers, and so forth. So we're partnering with them to make space for them in our clinics to come and also get vaccinated.
Are you going to open that while we're here?
Yes,
okay.
If you would like. We'd like to open it now because we've had it for...
Once we start, we have to be checked.
Yeah, once we start, I can't redo it, so it's like one take.
Put it in the position you want right now.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is put this box down on the ground. We'll open it. We'll put our tray. Sorry.
You're good.
We're going to put our tray within the freezer, ultra cold here, and then we're going to reload with ice, reclose it, and then head to Northwest.
Okay.
If you're just now joining us live, we are breaking into regular programming with really an historic day here in Seattle. You are witnessing UW hospital medical care officials opening for the first time this first shipment via FedEx of a box of Pfizer's COVID vaccinations. It is expected to be 4 trays. I believe we just heard Michelle in these kind of pizza box trays, each with some 975 vials. So, do the math, about 4,000, a little under 4,000 doses of this vaccine. And I think I just heard him say, Michelle, we have to open this once, so have your cameras rolling. You only get one shot.
Right, so one take. They're going to put it on the floor and they're going to open up, and he said once we start, we cannot redo it. And Jake, I thought I heard 3,900 vials and 4 trays. So maybe we need to kind of reconvene and figure out how many we're getting.
Well, four trays, 975 or so a piece,
okay,
3,900 total, I think. I was a film major, but we're getting.
Right.
I think we're getting it right.
Here we go, and we just heard that they will be using community partners as well, the fire department, EMS workers, partnering with them and UW to make space in clinics to make sure that people are getting this vaccine.
Every single one of these doses, every vial is hope for so many people. We watched this morning, Miss Sandra Lindsay, the first American out of Queens, New York this morning, a critical care nurse at a hospital there, getting the first dose. It really brings hope for how many millions and millions of Americans that have been going through just an unspeakable tragedy that's unfolded over the last 10 months. Here you go.
There we go. You can see the dry ice there as well.
So the critical piece in all this too, Michelle, is once you open it, it is obviously going to get warmer. So they've got to start putting these frigid trays, there's one of them, into, here we go, one of these freezers that they've told us so much about. And keep it there until they're able to administer it. Obviously, as the inoculation happens, it is a warmer than negative 94 degrees. They're not shooting it into your arm at negative 94 degrees.
Right, but so to speak, you can't unring the bell. Once we're in this process, you cannot undo it. So this is a historic day here in Seattle and all across the country, really, to watch this with so much anticipation, Jake, to see this vaccine and this unboxing of these doses, which I think is something that you and I could probably, and people at home could probably never have imagined that we would see so much anticipation and excitement over this vaccine.
Yeah, and really nothing less of a marvel of human achievement to create a vaccine in such short order. The world record was months, and that is 4.5 years of production and development and funding. And for this to all happen from cradle to grave, so to speak, in less than 10 months is nothing short of a miracle for so many people. And there, I guess you have it, Michelle.
Yeah, it's the way we wanted it.
It sounds like there might be some smiles and some laughter underneath those masks there. What do we know, Jake, about where this is going now? We know a box is going to the University of Washington, and then other partners like Harborview. Where else?
Overlake is said to be receiving some of the some of the vaccine. Those plans are sort of still in flux right now. What we do know is that it is first responders and healthcare officials and at-risk elderly first. But after that, it's still not clear. And we've had a lot of people texting us and asking us that question. When do I get it? I'm a 40-year-old healthy male. When am I supposed to get the vaccine? We just don't know that yet, but it is expected to be sometime in the coming months that'll be a much clearer picture.
This is, again, we should probably mention the amount of doses that Pfizer, that we're getting from Pfizer. We're getting about 62,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine this week. We know as many as 222,000 doses could be delivered by the end of December. But then we've got the Moderna vaccine that is expected to be approved by the FDA later this week. Of course, that will be something that we will be bringing to you as well. But Washington expects to get about 183,000 doses of that vaccine by the end of the month. And Jake, when you're talking about the first person in the country to get the vaccine, she said it felt like just any other shot that you would normally get.
Yeah, no, and she as well felt the gravity of the moment. I could hear it in her voice this morning, Michelle, when we were watching her live, that you could just tell she knew that it was a pivotal moment in the history of our fight against this awful virus. And I and you and like everyone here in this newsroom, everyone at home watching, no doubt, feel the weight of this moment and how important it will be in the coming weeks and months to get everybody vaccinated and just get life back to normal, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like the University of Washington, they're going to have one box at UW, one at Northwest, one at Harborview, and one at Valley. So that's where these 4 boxes in particular seem to be headed, Jake.
Yeah. This also comes at a time with some serious skepticism about this vaccine. Health officials have warned us that in order for this to be a successful several months, you need a 70%-ish vaccination rate in a population for it to be effective and to do what it's supposed to do and protect everybody. And there is some serious skepticism about the safety of this virus. 95% effective is really quite something from Pfizer when you consider the average flu vaccine that maybe a lot of you have taken already this year. It's usually about 50 to 60% efficacy, effective. But so for a vaccine like this to be 95% effective through a third, through these human trials, it really says something about how confident these companies are in this vaccine. But will people take it? Will those who are not at risk and not in healthcare be willing to take this at such an early stage? That really has yet to be seen. Yeah, I think that is an interesting point, Jake. And we have, shared some stories. Of course, there are different studies and different polls out there. But you mentioned 70% as that key. Well, there have been stories of reports where only 60% of those surveyed had said that they were going to get the vaccine. But let's go ahead and listen in to what's happening over at UW.
Normal refrigeration. The undiluted vaccine in here is 0.45 ml, so it's a very tiny volume. Once reconstituted, we have to use it within 6 hours. So okay. I don't know exactly what it looks like in there, but we'll try and be quick. does say Pfizer or BioNTech vaccine on it. This is the tray of 195 vials. That's what one vial looks like.
Wow. Michelle, it's okay to feel happy. It's okay to feel joyful at a moment like this. Think of all of the months of pain and the changes in your life and how much our community's been flipped upside down in our day-to-day life, and to know that that little vial that woman was holding right there holds the key to clearing up this outbreak. It really is quite something.
Yeah, and then you saw the temperature there, negative 61 degrees Celsius. Don't forget the Pfizer, the company that has made this vaccine, it has not been approved or licensed by the FDA, but it has been authorized for this emergency use to prevent COVID-19 in anyone 16 and older. So we are now seeing these 4 boxes of vials being spread out through UW properties. And we know that there will be a big partnership in the community working with EMS responders, firefighters, just to get people vaccinated, to make space in order to get those people, those frontline workers and those in residential care facilities to get this vaccine.
Yeah, the more we can vaccinate those frontline workers, the more they can feel safe doing the job to protect all of us. No doubt at home you have just a ton of questions about when you can get it, when your neighbors can get it, when your grandma and grandpa can get it, your mother, father. We're working on getting all those answers. It's still being worked out. Text the keyword vaccine to us, VACCINE, to 206-448-4545, and we'll send you a link that you should keep handy that we continue to update on king5.com. It's been a pleasure. Let's get back to regularly scheduled programming. Stay with us at King 5 News at noon and king5.com for more developments on this breaking news and an historic day in Seattle.